chers amis.
And welcome to the second edition of Rendez Vous with Yasmin
and Kumar. And thank you for all the feedback on our inaugural edition with the French ambassador in Sri Lanka, His Excellency Eric Lavertu.
Rendezvous, as its name suggests, is all about encounters, about meetings, about exchanges, and in this case, with a Franco-Sri Lankan twist.
And our rendezvous tonight is with Bruno Duparc, the Delegate General of the Alliance Francaise in Sri Lanka.
Under his purview come the Alliance Francaise de Kotte in Colombo, Kandy, Galle, Matara, Jaffna, and even the Maldives.
So let's go to the Alliance Francaise in Cap Petit Polomavate in Colombo 5.
Allons-y. So here we are at the Alliance Francaise.
Hey!
Bonjour Bruno, comment ça va?
Très heureux de te revoir au Sri Lanka
Également.
et à l'Alliance Française.
Parfait. Soyez les bienvenus.
How long has it been, Bruno?
It's been 32 years this year. Can you imagine?
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Merci.
back to your old home, Alliance Francaise.
You are welcome. This is your home.
Bruno is no stranger to Sri Lanka. He was here in the late 1980s and has a long love affair with Sri Lanka.
Bruno, before we go down memory lane, could you outline for us your specific role as the regional coordinator for the Alliance Francaise, but based here in Colombo?
Okay, well, this is quite a unique situation here because I'm in charge of the Alliance Francaise of two countries, of Sri Lanka, which is Alliance Francaise in Colombo, in Kotte here, the one in Jaffna in the north, in the center in Kandy, in the south in Matara. They have an antenna in Galle, and we also have a branch in the Maldives, in Malay. So the idea is to coordinate, to propose trainings for teachers, to propose tours for artists, exhibitions, and that's what I'm here for, to make this Alliance Francaise, who can be a bit far from the capital, to at least get the proper information and the possibilities to develop their activities.
Bruno, how many Alliance Francaise are there in Sri Lanka and how do they function in their respective geographies?
Well, I would say the secret recipe of the Alliance Francaise is that every single alliance is fully independent. They are all locally based associations, and they all have a committee, a board of directors in Jaffna, in Kandy, in Matara, but also in Malay and in Colombo, of course. And they can take all decisions as soon as they respect the charter of the Fondation of the Alliance Francaise in Paris. It was actually established in 1883, so that's a long time. Basically, we are non-for-profit, we are non-religious, we are also non-political, and our only goals is to promote the French language and the French culture and the cultures of the French-speaking world. As soon as you do that, the Alliance Francaise is running well and very well.
Learning French is also the pleasure of learning a language that is beautiful, that is romantic, that is melodious. And it is also the language of amour, the language of love, like je t'aime.
Well, that was a bit of cinema. But Bruno, why do you think learning French is important?
Indeed, it's the language of love, but not only, right? It's a very analytic language, so it will help you to analyze situation and to strengthen your thinking, your way of thinking, your logic, because we are a very Cartesian culture. It's also a language of arts. I mean, the language of fashion, the language of haute cuisine, the language of painting, of literature, of poetry, cinema, you name it. This also, French is also a language spoken by 300 million people. It's not bad. It's not like Chinese or Hindi, but it's already a very large number of native speakers. French is the only language which is taught in every country, together with English. But it's important to know that So it's a very...
So next to English comes French, is it?
In terms of language being taught, yes. It's the only language, once again, with English, which is being taught in every single country in this planet. That's also a fact. It's also the language of France, needless to say, but France is a very attractive country on all aspects. We welcome every year more than 85 million tourists. It's probably for a good reasons, because it's a beautiful country to visit. It has all the facilities, and you have been, both of you, to France, so you can speak by your own experience. So it's always good to speak a bit of French before you go and travel to France. That's my advice. But it's also an attractive country for its educational system. We tend to forget that after the US, UK, Australia, France is the fourth country who is welcoming the most number of foreign students because of the very high quality of its business schools. We tend to forget we have extremely good, high-profile business schools in France, also engineer schools who are very strong at it, and universities with very low costs for all these schools, which is making it very attractive for parents and for the students.
And also it's the official language of the Olympic Games.
Yes, it's a language of diplomacy in a large sense, in the sense that, yes, the language of the Olympic Committee, the language of the United Nations as well, a language of all international bodies that we come across, the language of the Red Cross, of course. It was founded in Switzerland, in a French-speaking country of it. And it's a very widely spoken and written language in diplomacy. If you look at the archives of diplomacy, a lot of documents will be written in French. So for all these very good reasons, you have to learn French. At least it's good to have a bit of a knowledge of French, and it's an easy language to learn, unlike what people think. More than half of the English words come from French directly, you see? Table is table, chair is chaise, and so on and so forth, right? Cushion is coussin. So when you speak English, like most of Sri Lankans do, it's a very easy language to learn. And it gives you a very nice open door to the Latin languages, such as Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, and So that's a very also interesting bit of having knowledges of French.
So learning French is very important, not only to say je t'aime.
Yeah, you can say je t'aime, you can say bonjour, but it's good to tell more about it, right? So dire bonjour, c'est bien. Tell the rest is better, right?
Bruno, coming to Sri Lanka, how popular is the French language in this country? We know it's taught in schools, many schools, private and national, and even universities.
It's amazing. It's absolutely everywhere. It's in the private schools, in the public schools. A lot of students choose French for A-levels, for O-levels. It's in the most prominent universities. And they have a very dynamic association of the professeurs de français, of the French teachers, who work closely with the Ministry of Education, and they are working on training the teachers. It's a very dynamic system, I must say, and also thanks to, I've heard about a program that was on TV some years ago. It was called Bonsoir Magazine. That has been helping a lot.
You heard about it?
I've heard about it. I don't know who were
we never seen
the couple do that, but it was a very big encouragement.
The old couple is back.
Oh yeah, who are these people?
That's the hashtag. Ask them.
And it was very encouraging for the audience to come to French and to learn French. You see.
Yes. So, what have you planned for the Alliance Francaise de Kotte here in Cape Diplomat in Colombo 5?
I'd love to be able to answer to that question. Unfortunately, in that funny context that we all know, it's quite difficult to plan the French Spring Festival, which is a huge rendezvous that we all wait for every year from mid-June to mid-July. because it comprises talks, cinema, it comprises exhibitions, live performances. It does include a fête de la musique and many more activities, but this year in this context it's very hard to do and to plan properly. So we are trying to stay on a few activities, probably the fête de la musique. We try to make it as a format that people can still enjoy maybe in a very open space, or maybe online. We have to check exactly what can be done. It's very soon. Other than this, throughout the year we do have cinema Rendez Vous. We have this Bonjour Cinéma every month with our partner, the Galle Cinema. We also have online French movies that we can watch with the links that we share on our social networks, short films and also long métrage. Then, we try to make now more interactive activities online. We're working on this, more like we call it social media events, but also little contest or quiz to entertain our audience, because we have to stay more and more at home. So this is what we are working on now. And one day when all this is over, we'll be so happy to re-establish, to resume parties, exhibitions, concert, jazz, classic, whatever you name it.
And even invite French artists back.
And invite French artists, of course, to Sri Lanka, because this is also our role to create this bridge, these bridges over the two countries, over the two cultures. And then after that, ask them to circulate in the network of the Alliance Francaise in Sri Lanka and in the Maldives. So that's what we are all very much looking forward to.
Thank you, Bruno.
We're back with you soon for part 2 as we take Bruno and journey down memory lane.
Stay tuned.
So here we are back again with Rendezvous with our guest Bruno Duparc, the regional coordinator of the Alliance Francaise based in Colombo, Sri Lanka.
Bruno, let's go down memory lane.
Okay.
Bruno, we will turn the pages of the calendar many years and go back to the middle 1980s.
Can you recall the most memorable events during that time at the Alliance Francaise in the 1980s?
In the 1980s, wow. That's a hard question, because every single day was a joy to be in Sri Lanka and working for the Alliance. At that time, I was this young teacher and cultural animator. But I had a lot of fantastic memories, notably the Fête de la Musique. It was still kind of young, because it was established in 1981, so it was maybe 5 to 6 years after it was founded. We did it a fantastic job in Alliance Francaise. Those days we were in Ward Place, not far from here, but it was in Ward Place, 54 Ward Place, I remember. And there was this huge response from the local artists, from our students who come to enjoy, to dance, to sing. That was fantastic, that was lovely. I absolutely want to reproduce this as soon as I can in nowadays. So coming back to that time, another fantastic time is we did celebrate those days the Fête de l'Alliance, and some of my friends used to be ballet dancers. I think her name was Yasmin, and she organized a great can-can, and we did dance, not guys can-can, but we are dancing with the can-can dances. That was also very sweet, very nice, and very spectacular, I must say. Then we used to take the students for for a nice picnic in Negombo for the day. It was like we did this French camps. Everything was in French. We had the rules. Golden rule is only one rule, golden rule. We have to speak French from morning to evening. And we went to a hotel. We had all these games, sports and all. It was very alive. I loved it so much. So I'm so happy and looking forward to restore all this ASAP. Yeah.
Bruno, do you remember any particular, not one, particular people that you worked with at that time?
Besides you two, you mean? Yes.
Of
yes,
course, how
of
can
course.
you
You can't forget us,
Unforgettable,
Bruno.
unforgettable. Yes, I do remember having thoughts and sharing the same teacher's room with, let's say, Patti Ratney is still teaching with us now in Alliance Francaise after all these years. And I really thank him for that. I remember Aruni. She's now a diplomat for the Sri Lankan government. I also remember Marianne. She was also a beautiful teacher. I remember a lot of others, notably, of course, Gauthier Willm. He was the director of the Alliance Francaise in Workplace. And yeah.
Bruno, watch this, all the way from the Occitanie region in the south of France.
Bonjour Yasmin, bonjour Kumar, et bonjour à tous mes amis d'antan à Colombo qui regardent peut-être cette émission. Il y a 40 ans, Workplace résonnait des fêtes que l'on donnait à l'Alliance française. Bien sûr, l'on y enseignait le français, mais surtout, l'on y cultivait la joie de vivre ensemble, la bonne humeur, la tolérance, la bonne entente universelle. Et pour célébrer cela, rien de mieux que la musique. La fête de la musique faisait monter sur scène, pendant tout un week-end, des jeunes et des moins jeunes, de toutes les nationalités qui se trouvaient à l'époque à Colombo. Des musiciens chevronnés, des amateurs ou des artistes improvisés. Je laissais libre cours à mes coéquipiers et amis, Gerard Narjoux, Bruno Duparc déjà, Yasmin Rajapaksa, Jayanta Vidyaratna, Niranjan de Silva, Rudi Correns et d'autres encore, pour l'organisation de ces fêtes qui se donnaient au mois de juin des années 1986, 87 et 88. Souvenir merveilleux et inoubliable. Et je suis très heureux que Bruno Duparc soit de retour à Colombo en tant que directeur de l'Alliance française. Et je lui souhaite d'éprouver le même bonheur que moi autrefois. Salut.
Wow. I'm very grateful because Gauthier was, he's very good. He's a very good friend. I didn't see him for so many years, but
We saw him now.
He's still in my heart. He's still in my heart. And it was my mentor. He was my mentor in the sense that, yeah, he taught us the spirit of Alliance, really, about how to be nice and friendly and also academically very precise and serious when it comes to teaching, when it comes to exams. And he was a very highly respected director for that and a beautiful musician. Gauthier, thanks so much for these beautiful words. You know.
Who else do you remember?
I remember, of course, Maya. Maya is still teaching with us, and Maya has been many years the president of the French Teachers Associations in Sri Lanka. He's been working also for the French Embassy for many years, and he's still very supportive. I like to consult him. He's coming to give me a very nice pieces of advice, and I have the road to thank him for this very warmly. Yeah.
Bruno, having said that, well, here's Maya Manawamma.
One day at Alliance Francaise, I heard one Bruno is coming as the director to Colombo. My swift question was, what's his surname? I got the answer a few days later. Duparc, Bruno Duparc. Oh, quelle joie. I think our first meeting was in 1986. I was a young teacher too at Alliance Francaise. That was the era of Gauthier Willm in Alliance Francaise Ward Place, number 54. The first reminiscence was followed by, of course, the joy of meeting and working again with Bruno, côte à côte, this cool guy who was walking like La Tour Eiffel on the riverbanks of la Seine.
Merci Maya, et à très bientôt ici, at Alliance Française, of course.
Bruno, so who else do you remember?
Gerard, of course, Gerard Narjoux. He was deputy director, he was the head of the studies. I was sharing the same office as he was, and he was super nice. I mean, we did share a lot of things, even including the weekends. He would take me around. I was just a young guy of 20 plus, and he was already 40 plus, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, we had a lot of nice time with him, and he was a very interesting person. He still is. And I saw him recently, but I hope he's fine, and I hope I can see him again very soon.
So here's Gerard, all the way from Espinasse in the southwest of France.
Bonjour Yasmin, bonjour Kumar. Je suis très heureux d'apprendre qu'une nouvelle émission dans le style de Bonsoir va bientôt être lancée. Rendez-vous. Yasmin et Kumar, vous avez été parmi mes tout premiers étudiants quand je suis arrivé au Sri Lanka en 83. L'Alliance française à l'époque occupait un superbe bâtiment entouré d'un jardin luxuriant à Ward Place. L'ambiance y était particulièrement joyeuse, des soirées étaient organisées, et notamment une soirée French Cancan qui a bien marqué les mémoires. Et il y avait aussi un jeune professeur, qui n'est plus tout aussi jeune maintenant, Bruno Duparc, qui était passionné par l'enseignement et qui a participé à la production de 50 émissions de télévision de français langue étrangère au profit de l'université de Galle. La situation, bien entendu, est différente, notamment en raison du Covid, mais je ne doute pas que M. Duparc réussira à recréer une ambiance aussi chaleureuse. Je souhaite donc bonne chance et bon vent à la nouvelle émission Rendez-vous. Au revoir.
Un grand merci à toi Gérard, et puis je vois que tu te portes bien, ça c'est très bien, et je suis très heureux pour toi, et j'espère qu'on va se voir très bientôt à Sri Lanka ou en France, mais j'espère à Sri Lanka. Et en tout cas, merci pour tous ces encouragements qui me vont droit au cœur. Merci.
And with Bruno back in Colombo, here we are in 2021 at the Alliance Francaise de Kotte in Colombo, which is the place to learn French in Colombo.
Well, that brings this month's edition of Rendezvous with Yasmin
And Kumar.
And Bruno.
to a close.
And look forward to seeing you on the 30th of June at our next rendezvous.
Au revoir.
À la prochaine.